Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Rise Up Market Watch here, February 16th. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in once again to Market Watch. Just myself tonight, no Doug, because Doug got looped into like work stuff. He has to be on a call with some people in Japan and a whole bunch of stuff, whatever his day job is. I have no idea. He told me multiple times and I never remembered. But I am getting ready to go to Denver for the ETH Denver conference. I fly out tomorrow morning, so I still have to think back. And for everybody on TikTok, you're not going to get my crispy voice. You're not going to hear all these, fantastic sounds. Because I'm missing a cable. Silver going to keep going down until Chinese New Year celebrations end. Yeah, quite possible. There's a lot of trend analysis that goes around, a lot of seasonality around Chinese New Year, which is true with a lot of holidays. But without further ado, we're going to get into it. I'm gonna dive into Bitcoin because today was interesting. Market thoughts this week. I think that it looks like Bitcoin wants to rally. It looks like stocks could maybe rally for like a day or two, but then they're in a really weak position. However, this Friday, we get PCE data on Friday that's going to really set the trend for us for the next couple of weeks, because if it's good, you could see things just continue to rally. I need the TA ASMR, though. I know, man. I'm sorry. You can't hear these fantastic sounds, There's an air horn you can't hear over on TikTok. Shame. But anyway, let's get into Bitcoin here, and I'm going to pull up my screen here for everybody watching on YouTube and Twitter and the like. And then I'm going to share my screen for the folks over on TikTok. So let me grab my phone here. Let me show you guys. Stack up on ICP. Not for me. So this is Bitcoin here that we're looking at. And what we have here is this wedge pattern. Now, if you watched our live this morning, we were, let's see, where were we? Yes, we were right here when we started our live this morning. And then we got a huge correction downwards. And this bottom line of this trend line held. Now, as we're looking at the 1 hour time frame, I think, hey, Will, your bottom line of support here is kind of all janky. But I believe I drew this on the 8 hour time frame a little bit more. Yes, good. Yeah, from this line here, actually, how did I? That makes sense. Let's see if we try to get us a little bit cleaner here. Yep. Interesting. Let's move it on this 1 hour time frame. How does that look? A little bit better, a little bit cleaner. Kind of had a false bearish breakout, a little false bearish breakout, false. Yeah, I'm happy enough with this. It's not exactly perfect, but it's fine. So we find ourselves, as I just realized, the channel on YouTube is Rise Up Market Watch. It's Rise Up Morning Show, by the way. So where we find ourselves for Bitcoin is it's still just trying to decide what it wants to do. Does it want to break out of this to the bear side or break out of this to the bull side? And if we measure this at its thickest point, let's just say Bitcoin breaks out here. That's a $76,000 target. Or let's say we break out to the bear side. That is a $60,000 target. Looks like we would be coming down and re-challenging some of the lows that we would have for Bitcoin. So that's what we're looking at for the big orange coin. Meanwhile, if we come over to the stock market, which it activates again, it turns back on tomorrow. So we see that we're below some key support here at the 55 exponential moving average. We have a fair value gap represented by this blank candle right here. So maybe like with this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity, this opportunity, this breaking of the 55 EMA, quickly corrects. Maybe because we've done this 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 times in the past just handful of months, or really month and a half. Or is this finally the opportunity where the 55 holds as resistance and the stock market comes down and makes a correction? I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I don't know exactly how it's going to go with the stock market. That's one that I don't really have the best read on. However, this week's going to be a very interesting week because we have a lot, and I mean a lot, of earnings reports coming out for the stock market. And let me actually look up to see what are the biggest companies, because if we have a bunch of companies that shit the bed in their earnings reports, that could bleed off into crypto as well. If they do really, really well, that could help to allow crypto to boom. So let's see. Companies releasing earnings this week, particularly if they're some of the big boys. Albert Finance Crypto Club, you are blocked now because you are trying to scam people. So congratulations. You have played yourself. Let's see. On Tuesday, we have Palo Alto Networks. Let's see. No one huge there. Wednesday, Fiverr, Pan America, Moody's, SE Energy, Analog, Bookings Holdings. Oh, on Thursday, we have Walmart. We also have Etsy. We have DYOR and Company. Open Text. Interesting. That's the company I work for. Oh, it's good to know that we have an earnings release on Thursday. And those are the biggest ones. So it's really just Walmart. But still, it's a lot of earnings reports coming out. What up, Will? What up, Magic? How you doing, dude? Thank you so much for streaming to YouTube and TikTok, watching both. YouTube for the screen, TikTok for the chat. Nice, dude. Love to see it. And Sonoran, happy to see you here, dude. Am I a fan? Getting a bunch of questions here. Shh, don't tell people that, bro. Are you a fan of Stacks? That's likely my favorite altcoin. No, I'm not. And it's not because what Stacks doesn't isn't like cool. I just don't find it useful. So for those of you who don't know, Stacks is essentially the layer 2 for Bitcoin. It helps to make Bitcoin faster and cheaper, and specifically building things on Bitcoin. And this became like a really big trending topic in 2023, 2024, because at the time it was like, oh, there's so much money in Bitcoin. It's the largest crypto. If you can build like a really advanced DeFi environment on it, you could have like so much money in this DeFi ecosystem because people would take their Bitcoin and do DeFi on it and earn interest on their Bitcoin. That sounds great. The problem with that is that at the time, wrapped Bitcoin solutions existed. So like you could take Bitcoin, wrap it, and just make it usable on something like Ethereum, for example. And since then, you've had wrapped Bitcoin on Solana and other wrapped Bitcoin products. And then you could take your Bitcoin, and for people interested in taking Bitcoin and earning interest on it, you could just go and use some already very advanced DeFi solutions. And there are some things that were built on Stacks. It's just that they were really rudimentary and fundamental as compared to the more developed DeFi ecosystem. So it's like, Stacks would have been really cool if it came out in like 2020. Yeah, so otherwise, I'm not a huge fan of Stacks. It doesn't mean you can't make money off of it, by the way. I like Hyperliquid a lot too. Their ecosystem's doing phenomenally. Also, Hyperliquid is one of those projects where the more adoption that they get, the more burn of the token. Not burn, but what am I trying to say here? Revenue, they have a revenue buyback model. So as more and more people use Hyperliquid, the more that the Hyperliquid tokens supply gets reduced in the market because people are using it and the company goes out and buys it. And I'm sharing my screen right here, but the amount of Ethereum being put onto Hyperliquid continues to go up and to the right. So this is one of those projects where adoption and usage helps to make the price go up directly. And then if we also take a look at, let's see, market cap, price, volume, fees. Fees have remained very healthy and steady on Hyperliquid and have also actually looked to expand. So Hyperliquid's actually pretty cool. You know what? I haven't taken a look at gold's chart in a minute. What's gold up to? I don't know if I like gold or don't like gold at this level. Hang on a second. Where are we at here with gold? All right, let's simplify this. So I'll share my screen for everybody on TikTok in a second. We have a huge fair value gap up here that makes gold want to go higher. But without the fair value gap, let's get rid of this. Okay. So I had marked this level and gold is actually holding it. Why did I mark this level? Why is this level relevant? Hang on. Bounced here, bounce, bounce. Okay, it's just a major inflection area. Okay, so we are right on top of support for gold. So if the folks on TikTok, here is what we're looking at for gold. We are currently right on top of this major support, but we are below the 12, the 21, and the 55 exponential moving averages. That makes me feel like gold might want to come down here, but we do have to be aware that we have a fair value gap right up here on the 8-hour time frame. And if we go onto the daily, there's a big fair value gap right up here. Okay, so there's a chance that's telling us that we want to go higher. All right, let's get rid of the imbalance. Let's pull up our indicators. There we go. Momentum is bearish. We are not in oversold territory. So this is telling me that we should probably expect this to come back down and revisit these lows again. That's what it's telling me, but we won't have that move unless we have a candle close below this line of support. And let's see, on the daily time frame, yeah, we're just kind of right on top of it. So if we get a daily candle close that closes below this in the 21-day exponential moving average, we're probably coming back down and revisiting these lows. Hang on a second. Weekly chart for gold. Yeah, no, I don't know. That's a lot of indecisiveness in gold's chart. I feel like it's hard to say right now in what direction gold might go. Now, if I were to think about what's happening in the market, do I think gold should go higher? Let's see. Inflation has come down. Get inflation to come down again on Friday. Then the inflation of the dollar would continue to get higher. There's already the dollar's value is continuing to fall. Gold would go up still in this instance. Interesting. I think we'll go to 1600 USD for Ethereum, says Sanjay Kumar. For Ethereum, you know what? Let's take a look at Ethereum. Let me pull up a fresh chart here. You rock, brother, always on point. Thanks, Mike Dogs. I appreciate that, man. I'm not always on point though. I get some stuff wrong. It happens to all of us. When you make calls every single day, you get some stuff wrong. But thanks, dude. Hopefully you are learning and you are watching some more people other than just me for TA and getting exposure to like a bunch of different techniques and way to read and look at charts. And hopefully you're learning and developing your own strategy, man. So glad I can be a part of that process. So let's see. Let's get a longer term view here for Ethereum. You said 1500 or so. That would be about here. Be about this point here, 1500. That'd be damn near close to the bottom of this triangle. Oh, let's see. We are not in oversold territory on the monthly chart either. So, Robot Stecklers, I listen to you. I just never sell. Yeah, so Ethereum is actually starting to get in oversold territory according to the monthly chart stochastic RSI. However, there is no, oh my God, I just realized, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red monthly candles in a row. Good God, Ethereum has been selling off for a half a year. Golly, oh my God, that's tough. Let's see, if we came down to this level, let's see, the previous high is all the way back over here though. Hang on a second. Let's just mark this on our charts as well as an extra strong area of support. Nope, I didn't do that. I didn't do what I wanted it to do. Huh. There we go. This is like a golden kind of pocket, I feel like, because we have a golden pocket for Bitcoin. God, this is so far overextended. Hang on a second. Does the 3-month chart give us a clearer picture? No, if Ethereum could get bought up to back above $2,270 right there, you could have a chance to see this start to pop upwards, but I just don't. It's just hard to see any other, like, any kind of potential recovery happening anytime soon for ETH. But could we come down to 1,500? Yeah, 1,500 is like right in that pocket. Come back down to the previous high in the 2018 bull market. God, talking about Ethereum potentially falling to its high from 2018. That is not something I ever thought that was possible for a really long time. Good God. Hey, Tori, how you doing, everybody? Oh, Suzanne over on Facebook says, I stake stacks for 10% Bitcoin rewards. Suzanne, that's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. I'm gonna have to go take a look at that. It's been a while since I explored the stacks ecosystem. 10% of my Bitcoin. That's pretty good. What do I think then for Ethereum? I don't know, because here's the thing is, it's like I see no confirmed bottom anywhere in the market yet. For Bitcoin, I don't see it for Ethereum, because if it's not there for Bitcoin, it's not there for the other altcoins either. You would think everyone would want to buy XRP. I've never really been in that list of people, but for people who are paying attention, there's certainly going to be an opportunity to buy some really good altcoins and cheap Bitcoin as well. I'm buying a little bit of Bitcoin every single day. Haven't stopped. In fact, I've only doubled the amount of Bitcoin I'm buying every single day. Hooray! More Bitcoin for me. But yeah, when I take a look at Ethereum, like I don't know. I mean, like $1,430, which is the previous all-time high back in 2018, would be a great place to try to see if we had like a really strong pop-up. In fact, we had that happen in March of last year. So maybe there's an opportunity to do that again, but like, I don't know. It's the biggest reason why I don't know what's really going to happen is that, as I went over earlier in this video, in this live stream, the S&P 500 looks like it wants to roll over. That won't happen yet if the inflation data we get on Friday is positive. If it's negative, you will see the stock market roll over. However, trueflation is continuing to go down. The last inflation report was positive. Just that from a TA standpoint, the S&P 500 looks bad to me. And I know I didn't show it super well when I last had it up on screen, but let me pull it up here. Not on the weekly. Let me put it up on the daily. Let me clean this up. So when you have something, and let me do this at the same time so everyone can see, you can see that it's round, it's curving over here. And this is the S&P 500 on the daily time frame. And this is a clear, like, your rocket ship is starting to lose momentum, right? You can see the momentum is waning here as it is curving over in price. And now that we're below the 55-day exponential moving average, the blue line here, you finally have an opportunity where you can start to have that. And, sometimes TA gets complicated with all of the lines we draw on the chart. Oh, God. When Bullish Babe showed me her chart in a stream earlier, Chelsea, I was like, what is happening here? It's just lines everywhere. But it works for her. But sometimes you look at something and you go like, oh, I can see that with the naked eye. Like, it's a clear, what's the word? Oh God, it's from geometry class. Oh God, if I can think back to what my sophomore year of high school. It doesn't matter. Anyway, but it's a perfect rounding over. Inflation data coming from the Trump administration is cooked. I mean, here's one thing is like, remember the CPI inflation that came out was positive, but the week before the PPI inflation was really, really bad, actually. So it's like, I'm not sure if they're really necessarily cooking it, but you also have Trueflation as well. And oh wait, do I have to sign up for a trial membership for Trueflation? Trueflation, by the way, is a measurement of inflation where it actually goes into like scrapes. Parabola, thank you, Parabola. Oh, thank you, everybody. Holy crap, that was gonna bother me. But Trueflation goes out and it grabs price indexes. Like it goes and it scours the internet for prices across the board and tracks the actual fluctuation of prices. And Trueflation is showing that like it actually is coming down. So that's pulling prices out of the private sector. There's none of that data that comes out of the government. Hang on a second. Let me go to Trueflation because Trueflation has a Twitter page. Let me see if they have some recent information. Trueflation US CPI. Let's see. Is this recent? February 16th. It is February 16th. Perfect. So let me show you what the inflation data looks like here directly from their Twitter page. So this shows that CPI inflation across their grabbing of data from price is continuously been going down since December. Now, 0.94% inflation, which for the folks on TikTok, you'll see, right over here. I feel like we're not taking into account some other things in the economy. I don't think it's 0.94 inflation. But, the trend here in CPI inflation, the price of goods that we pay at the store, is clearly coming down across the private sector. So if we take a look at that and we go, okay, if we're pulling data directly off of the private sector pricing data, and that's saying that inflation has been coming down since December, and then we get inflation data from the government, the actual CPI, and that says that it's coming down as well, you can probably believe it. Yeah. Now, everything you get from the government, yeah, sure, take with a grain of salt. Maybe even with Trueflation, take with a grain of salt. But, all we can do is take multiple sources of data, compare it to one another, and try to make the best decision possible. And if these are both agreeing with each other, then they're probably in line with the truth that the price of the goods that we are paying for at the stores, albeit expensive, because just because inflation is coming down, doesn't mean that prices are necessarily coming down. But if they're both saying that, then I think we can believe it. Let's see. I know we have some other comments here. I'm just catching up on them. Hello, everybody. Hello. Clearly, it's over for the next 12 months, right? I don't know. I was talking with one of my buddies, Dave, who's in the crypto space as well. And we both feel like the summertime is when it can start really kind of turning around. I don't think we're going to have a confirmed bottom in Bitcoin for a few more months. And if we look at traditional 4-year cycles, and to be fair, and I'll hold up my hand and say I was wrong. I thought the 4-year cycle was broken this time around. And apparently the bear market was here right on time for that. And so if the 4-year cycle holds up post bear market, then you should have Bitcoin find a bottom and then start to enter consolidation phase, like leave bear phase into consolidation phase around the summertime, like the middle to the end of summer. Actually, even like the beginning of summer, like things should hit a bottom and then start to consolidate. Most altcoins will still continue to slide down into the right. And then once Bitcoin, makes like 40% or 50% gains from its base, then the altcoins will start to rise. It just depends, because we've also never had, let's assume that I'm correct and that the stock market looks like it wants to have a sizable correction. Bitcoin's never existed during a sizable stock market correction outside of COVID, and I don't know how much relevancy we want to put on that particular time in the markets, because everything was falling. Everyone was selling everything. And so will that happen again? I'm sure to an extent. Will it be the same extent? I don't know. I don't think so. So we'll have to see. But if the stock market corrects, it's probably going to correct for a handful of months. And how long will that stifle Bitcoin? Will it stifle Bitcoin for the exact same period of time, if I'm correct? I'm not quite sure. About to find out. Bullish on Link. Yeah. We'll talk about some things about Chainlink here. So I've seen a lot of chatter on Chainlink of people being really bearish on it because the team sells the Link token supply, and they do. That's how they fund themselves. However, they've been able to sell Link since 2017, and in those 9 years, they were first given 30% of the total token supply, and in those 9 years, they've sold enough token supply to be, it's like somewhere between 20 to 25%. They still have, which means they've only sold 5 to 10%. Over 9 years, let's just say they sold 10%. That's a little bit over 1% of the total supply that they've sold in order to fund their team, or potentially 0.5% a year. That's a really slow inflation, and it's really not that large of a sell side pressure. So I just wanted to address that because I've seen a lot of people being like, wow, Link is awful because they sell their token. I'm like, you can be upset about that. You totally can. But there are way worse projects than Link on that. Now, to the question of, am I bullish on Link? I am bullish on what Link does. I don't know if I'm bullish on the token, because for the most of the past bull run from 2023 into, pretty much the end of 2025, it didn't really do a whole lot until the end, until like the last 7 or 8 months or so. And then it started getting a little traction. So it didn't really run as well as we all really kind of thought it should have. Didn't really get the respect that a lot of people thought it deserved. But yeah. What about after the Clarity Act passes through? You're going to have a lot more money coming in. No, Paul, I don't think you will. I don't think the Clarity Act has really any immediate impact whatsoever. So the Clarity Act, it provides clarity as to what a cryptocurrency is, but actually that's inaccurate. It provides clarity as to who governs and regulates cryptocurrency, from the SEC to the CFTC. Okay. It also, oh gosh, I'm forgetting some of the other things it does. Who has regulatory clarity over it? It does something else. I know I need Alex for this part. That's the big thing, though. There's one other thing it does. But anyway, what this will do is the thought process is that, hey, maybe a lot more money will come in when this gets passed, because there's no confusion as to who's regulated by what or who's regulating what. And then you'll have money coming in. But the thing is you already have a really friendly SEC towards crypto today. And you have ETF products, and you can add Bitcoin to your balance sheet. And we already changed the accounting rules for Bitcoin. So if you hold it on your balance sheet, it's not something that doesn't accrue value until you sell it. That used to be something. It's just not going to be this open. There's not $1 trillion just waiting to come into crypto to be like, is it the SEC or the CFTC? Because right now it already doesn't matter, because the SEC is like, hey, do whatever you want, and we're not going to do anything. And you already have companies who have been able to add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. ETFs have been insanely popular already. This isn't going to pass and immediately you have a whole bunch of money flowing. It'll be helpful long term, sure. It'll be helpful long term. It totally will. But it's not going to be and the floodgates are open and they're off, and Bitcoin's flying, and Pengu is up, and Shiba Inu Obama Sonic Trump coin is doing amazing. It's no, that's not going to be the case. Ethereum thoughts. I like Ethereum. I buy Ethereum a little bit every day. Go and set it aside to stake. That's it. To me, I buy a little bit of Ethereum and a little bit of Solana every day, along with my Bitcoin. Because I see the future of the financial world moving on chain, and I see them choosing Ethereum and Solana. So I am comfortable buying a little bit of what I have conviction in is the future guardrails of the global financial system. That's it. Why don't you do TAs on ETH? Because it doesn't matter right now. Technical analysis on any altcoin doesn't really matter. And also, I did do it here on the live stream. I just don't make videos on it in particular, because everything's going to go down if Bitcoin's going to go down. Almost everything, at least some things will go up if Bitcoin is going up. So spend most of your time really focusing on Bitcoin. Thank you for clarifying. What are your thoughts on XRP, says Mike Dogs. XRP, in my personal opinion, is a great coin to trade because it has a very, very strong brand, possibly the strongest brand in all of crypto. Everyone who's retail or new, or maybe hasn't heard much of crypto, has heard of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. And so it's a great coin to trade because people who are new to crypto typically buy XRP, and there can be a lot of new people to crypto. That can be a lot of money. And you also have a very rabid fan base behind XRP, and it tends to make it a little bit more stable. And yeah, so I think it's a great coin to trade. I don't believe in its mission whatsoever long-term, because all of its competitors are better to it and have far outsurpassed it in terms of adoption and partnerships. and I've talked a lot about this before in the past, and I don't particularly feel to go into super depth details about it, but like I'll give one example. Like XRP was going to be the future payment solution for global international payments. And they were going to replace SWIFT, which is the regulatorily mandated international payment solution. But then SWIFT integrated with Chainlink and then announced that they were building their own blockchain solution on Linea, the layer 2 for Ethereum. And so now SWIFT, which was already mandated by international law and the US global financier for, everyone to have to use SWIFT. So like XRP and Ripple were never going to replace it. Now it's just as fast and just as cheap. So like that's not going to happen. But then it's like, okay, well, people will build on Ripple. You can build on Ripple today. No one's doing it. No one's using it. And then people are like, oh, well, Ripple's filed for a banking license. I said, okay, well, what are they going to do with it? And like, it's typically crickets. People are like, well, people will go use Ripple. I'm like, well, they can already use it and they're not. And so like, I'll change my opinion on XRP if Ripple could get adoption. And so like, then I'd be happy to change my opinion on Ripple. I just want their solutions to be used. I feel like so many people are upside down right now from 90K by the dip. Yeah, like from 124K, everyone's like, buy the top, and then the low comes in. And it's like, I want it to go lower. I don't want to buy yet. Or it's like, oh, it was a scam. And then the market will come back up and people will buy the top instead of the bottom. And that's just how it goes. That's just how it goes, Oh, the last thing I'll say about XRP is just like, hey, if anything that is a cryptocurrency, that's a volatile cryptocurrency that says we're going to be used for payments, I go, why? You're volatile. If I send $100 and then the person I send it to receives $99.98 because the time they got it, the price fluctuated, then potentially I have not met my SLA. Maybe that's a business partner. Maybe because I have not paid them now, I get fined. Like this is something that happens in B2B transactions and B2C transactions, more so B2B. But, it's just like, why would I do that? I can just use a stable coin and I can send $100 and it's $100 and it gets there just as fast and just as cheap. Tau, the new Bitcoin? Totally, for sure. Yeah, put all your money in Tau. No, BitTensor Tau is not the new Bitcoin. They're not even comparable to one another. BitTensor Tau is an AI modeling marketplace, or at least it was. And then they were going to combine it with two other AI coins, and it was called AGI or AG1. And then no one ever talked about that again. And then I guess and then that was just gone. And now it's just an AI coin, but it does nothing. And yeah, that's that. Monero is the real Bitcoin. I mean, it's private. That's something. Bet the house on Liberty. Do I invest in stocks as well? Actually, I bought a lot of Circle stock not too long ago. And actually, this is an interesting chart because we can talk a little bit about IPOs and how price moves after them. Let's see. Where's my screen? Let me share Circle here. So for those of you who don't know, Circle is the company who issues USDC, the stablecoin. And they make a lot of money. In fact, I'm pulling up the earnings report here. Let's see. The one on, here we go, more on Circle financials. I've actually never pulled this up on TradingView before. Revenue, market cap. Can I just get revenue, valuation? Went from 19.5 billion to 12 billion. Nah, I don't like this. I'll just have to Google it. Hang on, how do I get back? Oh no. Oh wait, performance. Here we go, revenue. So Circle's revenue from Q2 to Q3 of 2025 went from 658 million to 739 million. So quarter over quarter, it's a revenue increase of $80 million there. And in a year, they went from $445 million in revenue to $739 million in revenue. So that's an increase in revenue of, that's basically double. They basically doubled their revenue in a year. So like Circle is making money. They're well positioned to be like a leader for stablecoins in the US. And so I like it. Now how do I, hang on a second. How do I get out of this? Oh, back to chart button. Okay. Now let me clean up this chart and I'll show everybody what we're looking at here. Hide. Okay. Yeah, Circle and Tether are the biggest buyers of US debt. They are certainly one of them, and they're in the top 15 for people who hold US debt, including countries. So here we go. Flip camera. So this right here is Circle. They had their IPO back here. It went absolutely gangbusters. And then just like with an IPO, just like with like an airdrop of a token or something, it has a correction. And this white line is very significant. This is when people who were in the company, working at the company, they were vesting and earning stocks. That's when they could start selling. And you saw that additional sell pressure here from people in the company who could start to sell. Now, the interesting thing is that after that happened, we finally started to get like some really red RSI points here. So we kind of had like a double. I kind of look at it as like a double bottom for RSI. And then we started getting some positive movement here. RSI is actually continuing to the upside finally. If we come to the weekly time frame as well, the weekly chart double bottomed in its stochastic RSI, which I really like to see. And now we're going to have an opportunity where Circle is coming up to try to turn its previous low where it started into an area of support and maybe try to make a recovery here. Or what Circle is going to do is it's going to maybe, range in this area a little bit before it actually is successful. The interesting thing as well that I saw is that on Friday, we triggered a long signal on the 8-hour time frame. And yeah, that's Circle stock. So the general rule of thumb with if you're looking to buy a stock and it's IPO'd, you typically have to wait in 180 days afterwards, because that is when people who are in the company can start to dump their stocks. So there's typically an additional sell side pressure that lasts for 2 to 3 weeks. And it has been, let's see, it has been, when it hit a bottom, that was 33 day. Oh wait, no, I'm on the wrong chart. Give me 1 second. Once people inside of Circle could start selling, that was 16 days later. So, that's 16 business days. So, pretty damn close to, actually, yeah, that's 3 full weeks, because you can only trade Monday through Friday. That's 5 times 3, that's 15. This is 16 days. So this is 3 weeks. So typically you hit a bottom after people inside a company can start selling 2 to 3 weeks later. And that was 3 weeks in a day where we hit that bottom here potential bottom on February 5th. And we have some gaps higher up on the chart as well. So to answer that was a very long-winded answer to the question of, do you buy stocks? And I go, sometimes. And in this case, it's Circle, because it's super, super beat up. And typically this is a place where IPO cryptocurrencies stocks start to recover. They make a lot of money, their revenue's growing, and they're in a fast growing sector. So I bought some. However, stock market, it looks sketchy. Are there actual altcoins you're bullish on? Yeah. But just because I like these altcoins doesn't mean they're going to go up in value if Bitcoin keeps going down, right? If Bitcoin goes down, all altcoins go down. Just understand that. But I like Ethereum. I like Solana. The only meme coin I like is Pengu. I still like it. I like Sky Protocol because it makes a bunch of money and has an aggressive revenue buyback policy. I like Hyperliquid because it makes a lot of money and it has an aggressive revenue buyback policy. I like Maple Finance. And funny, I just got a notification on my phone that said Maple Finance is up 5.34%. So, hey, nice job, Maple Finance. The ticker for that is Syrup. Why? Because they're one of the leading lending protocols. They make a lot of money and they have a revenue buyback program. I like Maple Finance. I like Syrup a lot. Let's see. There's some other coins I like too. Home is interesting. HOME. What are some other coins? No, not Cardano. I'm not a fan of Cardano. I haven't been for years. I like things that, like, in order for me to really like an altcoin, it needs to be used, and Cardano's only used to stake Cardano. It's not used for anything else. It needs to make money, and it needs to be in a hot trend. And then it needs like some sort of pumpamental, like something that people are going to talk about, you know? I like Sui. I don't love Sui. I like Aave. I don't love Aave. The only reason why I don't love Aave is because they don't have a revenue buyback policy. They make a lot of money. They make so much money. Uniswap. Uniswap is the other token I didn't mention because they just added in December a revenue buyback policy. So they make a lot of money. They're going to take some of that money and use it to buy back some of the Uni token, and that will help to make the price go up. Also, BlackRock is now an owner of Uniswap tokens, just FYI. They actually purchased Uni tokens, and now they're an active governance and voter within the Uniswap ecosystem. So that's interesting. You saved me $7,000 on DGI, the gaming token you warned me about. Thank you. Kareem, you have been here for a while then, my friend, because DGI was a long time ago, man. That was like 2 years ago, dude. Well, I'm glad I saved you the money. And I had a phone call conversation with the guys at DGI because they saw my video. And at the time, actually, what's his name? Coach Ty gave me their contact. And he's like, dude, I think you missed on DGI, dude. Take a look. So I had a phone call with them. And they're good guys. They're like really honestly well-intentioned, trying their best to build something in the space. And DGI Gaming was this gaming solution where they had bought this land in this very popular game, and they rented out the land and were actually making a surprisingly large amount of money. But Kareem, thank you, dude. I'm a big fan of you too, dude. Thanks. Appreciate the support. And DGI Gaming, they were making a bunch of money from this because this was like a metaverse Web3 game, and people were actually using it and renting the land and stuff. And people were really excited about DGI because it was actually making revenue. The issue with that revenue is that, as you can probably imagine, that's a very fragile source of income. And so I talked to the team on it, and they were like, yeah, we're going to do like XYZ to help make more money. And they were going to make like a little tiny shooter game. And then they were going to do something else. And I was just like, this is not sustainable. So I was like, hey, the DGI team, they're well-intentioned. They're trying their best, but like, this isn't it. Like, this is going to go completely bust. And that one did, fortunately. Feeling cute might FOMO in, sell the bottom and cry when it goes back up. Hey, as long as you're feeling cute. Calvin Hill rocks. You were even with him, #1. Mike Dews, I appreciate it, man. I know some people have said some bad things about Calvin Hill. Some people have said some good things about it. Here's one thing I'll say about like just influencers. Like, you know, screw everyone else's opinion of some of the influencers. If you feel like you're learning and getting something valuable out of somebody, then great, you know. There are some influencers, though, who are straight scammers, con artists, and thieves and should be put in prison. I wish I remembered some of their names. I always forget them. Alex would be here. Oh, need Alex. Let's see. Let me go through the comments here. Hedera and Aerodrum. Oh, I like Aerodrum. Aerodrum's another token I still like. Base is still going to do really, really well. The layer 2 for Ethereum built by Coinbase. Aerodrum is still the #1 de facto home for decentralized exchange. It still makes a lot of money, and they just upgraded their revenue buyback policy. So when the market gets hot again, I expect Aerodrome to probably do pretty well. WW, are you based out of Texas? No, I'm based out of Boston. However, I do love cowboy hats. Cowboy boots are so comfortable. Belt buckles are so cool. I have some rodeo shirts. The rodeos are so much fun. If you've never been to a rodeo, if you're not from the US, you should fly here. Fly to Las Vegas for the rodeo Super Bowl. And it's an amazing time. It's truly an amazing time. Near or Epic? Who's Epic? Who's Epic? Come to Phoenix. I've only ever been to Phoenix once for work. Rodeo starts next week. Dude, rodeos are so much fun, man. They're an absolute blast. Then also just like, I don't know. I'm from Maine and my dad's in the military. My mom's a farming family. Like, I like to go shooting. Guns are fun. Texas has some big ones. Those gun ranges are a great time. My best friend also lives out in Vegas, and we go out there and get some shooting in case the zombie apocalypse comes. Come to Hawaii? Dude, I'd love to come to Hawaii. Aerodrome or Ondo, which is your pick? Aerodrome, hands down. Aerodrome, hands down, because It has a revenue buyback policy, and you can stake it and earn some more money. Ondo is just a governance token. I like what Ondo's doing, mind you. But I also think that you're going to have a lot of competition coming for Ondo very soon, particularly from Aave. Houston is the best. Funny enough, I've never been to Houston. I've only been to Dallas. I've been to Austin, and that's it. I always have to go to Dallas for like work. I'm not a fan of Dallas. Not a fan of Dallas. Oh my God, I got a cowboy hat. And then just a regular mustache on top of my mustache. Thank you. Houston rodeo is all out. Dude, okay, Houston's the place to go for rodeo. You know what I've also heard? I've also heard Calgary, Canada, is the place to go to for the rodeo. They take that shit super seriously, which is kind of hilarious because like they get like super Texan, but they're Canadian. That just seems interesting. Seems like an interesting culture clash. Hey guys, we'll take a few more questions here. Oh, Suzanne, you're from Maine too? Suzanne, I knew we were homies. Maine's the best state in the union. Oh, I grew up in Cape Elizabeth outside of Portland. I'm going to get none of you. This is just for me and Suzanne now. All right. And anyone else from Maine. I grew up in Cape Elizabeth outside of Portland. And my mom's family is from Farmington. So, and it was like a traditional Irish farming family. So like we'd go over there and like spend a lot of time in the summertime and help out and get yelled at by my grandma for eating too much of the stuff instead of picking it. And just had a great time. I go up to Maine all the time. I was up in Maine. I was skiing at Sugarloaf all of last week, getting in. But yeah, I love Maine. I was in Portland for like 4 days, just hanging around, getting drinks, eating food, having a good time. There's a stampede in Calgary. All right, we're not talking about crypto anymore, guys. We're talking about this rodeo that happens in Calgary. There's a stampede in Calgary? What are these Canadians up to? John, you're in Maine too. Oh my God, you Mainers, you might know Carabasset Valley Coffee. They're gonna sponsor the show. They're gonna be the official coffee sponsor of the Rise Up Morning Show. We're just gonna have a referral code and everything, so people can support a local Maine business in Kingfield, Maine. And I'll give everyone a secret. My uncle, it's his company. He bought the company like 7 years ago. And he lives in Kingfield, Maine, along with all my cousins, and they all work the business. So it's like my cousins on uncle all work at small family, small business in Maine. So yeah, that'll be cool. And also the coffee is pretty freaking good. Anyway, we'll take a few. Oh wait, Suzanne, you're from Lewiston? Oh, my roommate of sorry guys, once again, it's me and Suzanne talking. My roommate of 8 years was from Lewiston. You went to UMF? Hell yeah, yeah. My dad is a professor at the University of Husson, and Northeastern has a campus in Portland too, I believe. He's there. Anyway, this is too much. Sorry guys. I know I'm not. This is all just me and Suzanne right now. I'll take some questions. I see some bunch of comments about Maine stuff coming in. So let's see. Question from Magic. Thanks to Uncle Bob. Do you see SNDK correcting to the sub 200? SNDK, what is SNDK? Well, let me take a look. Let me just pull this up. Solana, let me pull up my Solana chart and we'll turn this into SNDK. I'm sure, are you talking about SanDisk Corporation? I'm sure you're talking about SanDisk Corporation. Are you right? SanDisk. Okay, you are talking about SanDisk. Okay, the stock. Let me see. I know nothing about the company. So let's just take a look here. If I pull this, yikes. So a few things. I do think we pull back. We have bearish momentum that flipped here on, hang on a second. This is the 8-hour chart. Let me get away from the 8-hour chart for a second, just to the daily. Okay. We hit oversold territory here. We had some initial rejections the past 2 days. We had a double top on the RSI. That's a pretty big top indicator here. Okay, let's zoom out to the weekly for SanDisk. Oh dear God, SanDisk has been just on a freaking tear. Let me show everybody on Twitter. This is a stock on the weekly chart. Let's see how much has this shit? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So over the past 6 weeks, it's up 171%, 135%. Good God, this is like a freaking meme coin. So right now it's super extended above support of the 12-week exponential moving average, which is sitting at 420. Hilarious. That's sitting at 420. But what I would like to see is I'd like to see it come back down right here, which is at $284. That's what I'd like to see it come to. Now, will it? I mean, that's a pretty brutal rejection here on a candle. This should at least come down to 415, 320. Let's see, 8-hour chart. We're getting short signals on the 8-hour chart. This should correct 285. So I think your question, Magic, was, I think SanDisk could be sub 200? I don't know. 285 kind of looked like it for me. Could this be the bottom for Bitcoin? Sure, it could be, but we have no confirmation of that. No confirmation in Bitcoin's chart. I'd like to see like a double bottom. I'd like to see a higher low printed on the weekly chart. You know, all that we do know, and this is the last thing I'll share tonight. And let me just clean up my chart a little bit just to make this super, super simple. And we'll show Bitcoin in just a second. And we'll talk about historical bottoms. Sharing my screen. Bitcoin. Okay. Is Alex doing his show tomorrow? Oh, trust issues? I don't know if he is, actually. So let me see if I can just angle my phone here. Okay. So we've been talking about our golden pocket, which is between the 200 exponential moving average and the 200 simple moving average here. And we are starting to find support in that, which is great, right? So bulls were willing to come in here very, very aggressively because historically, previous bear markets found their bottoms in this golden pocket and just below it and back in it, right? So we fell back into it, fell below it, and it ended up being a pretty good decision, right? We go back again a little bit further in time, and we had an opportunity right here to buy in the golden pocket, and just below it was a great opportunity, and right here in the pocket, and we had an opportunity to make money, and then an opportunity to buy again and really capitalize. And then going back even further, again, you had the opportunity to buy in the golden pocket, and it ended up really, 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 really working out for you in that case. So is this the bottom for Bitcoin? Yeah, this could be bottom-ish. But I wouldn't be shocked at all to see Bitcoin maybe try to do something like this and then hang out and then do something like this and then do something like that. You know, I wouldn't be shocked to see Bitcoin do that. So that's that. Will you be building an open claw bot? No, I will not. But everyone, I need to finish packing to head to Denver first thing in the morning tomorrow. My flight's at like 6:30. So I'm going to go get packed and get ready to fly to the ETH Denver conference and go meet with a bunch of, I'm going to meet with some of you guys and meet with a bunch of crypto companies, have a bunch of meetings, you know, build it all. Oh, J Heat, you're there? Hell yeah, dude. Oh, you're going to be at Meow Wolf? Yeah, there's a Meow Wolf event. So I think we're going to try to go to it. But anyway, guys, I will catch you all later. And there is no show in the morning tomorrow, just FYI. So we'll see you at night. See y'all later.